Fox 61 News at 6 starts now.
Right now at 6, remembering fallen officers.
We will cry together for those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. We will cry together for Dustin and Alex, because we will miss them terribly.
Thousands of people coming out today to honor Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte and Sergeant Alex Hamzy.
Officers from all across the country come together as family and friends share emotional memories of these two heroes.
There are not enough words for me to describe my love for Alex.
And share their anger and frustration that what happened to these officers is far too common.
I lost my son-in-law. I don't want to lose my country too.
A somber day the community will never forget as they work to move forward.
Bristol, we've got this. Connecticut, follow our lead. And America, join us.
Well, thanks for joining us here on the Fox 61 News at 6. I'm Ben Goldman.
And I'm Sarah Sanchez. A somber day across the state. A funeral is held for fallen officers, Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte and Sergeant Alex Hamzy.
Procession to East Hartford this morning. Motorcycles and police cruisers lining the streets heading toward Rentschler Field, where brothers and sisters in blue paid their final respects. Dustin DeMonte and Alex Hamzy remembered and honored today. Emotional remarks from family members and friends who spoke so highly of these two fallen heroes.
And the stands were packed. Officers from across the country and men and women who protect and serve right here in Connecticut all showed up to support the Bristol Police Department. We have live team coverage tonight, but we want to start with Fox 61's Matt Karen, who has more on today's event. Matt.
Yeah, and today we saw not only law enforcement, but really first responders from all across New England and all across the country descend right here on Rentschler Field in East Hartford to honor these two brothers in blue. So many tears.
He is my hero, my protection, the love of my life.
So few words, but those that were spoken came from the soul.
And the deepest, purest, most special love.
Rentschler Field in East Hartford overflowed with grief.
The kids and I are honored to call you ours.
At the same time, it was surrounded by love.
Since last Wednesday night, your family has grown exponentially.
Posthumously promoted.
Deputy Chief, please present the lieutenant's new badge of office. Acknowledge these officers' accomplishments with a standing ovation.
Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte.
He was everyone's rock, a constant force of good.
Sergeant Alex Hamzy.
Because he was a generous, kind, caring, and thoughtful person.
Fallen heroes of the front line, brothers of the badge.
Lord, if some dark and dreary night I must give my life, Lord, with your everlasting love, protect the people in my life.
Officers by trade, dads, husbands, and sons in life.
Their memory and never die.
And their legacy will live in the light of their loved ones.
Our names are Ahmed and Selma. But if we're known for the rest of our lives as Alex Hamzy's parents, it would be the highest honor which we could ever achieve.
As these heroes heard their final call,
you are and always will be greatly missed.
Their service is done.
This is the end of your watch.
Their sacrifice will never be forgotten.
Lieutenant, Sergeant, we have it from here.
Also not to be forgotten, Alec Iorado, the brave Bristol police officer who undoubtedly saved more lives from being lost after delivering that surgical strike that took down the killer. Officer Iorato was here today. He left his crutches behind as he escorted what is known as the United States Honor Flag onto Rentschler Field. It is a memorial flag of the United States of America that has been into space, to the battlefields of conflict, even to ground zero on 9/11. We're live here outside Rentschler Field in East Hartford. Matt Caron, Fox 61 News.
Matt, thank you. Support for both Bristol officers has come far and wide. It was a sight we had never seen at Rentschler Field before. So many men and women standing up for Sergeant Hamzy and Lieutenant DeMonte.
Now, left a lot of us, quite frankly, speechless. Fox 61's Jim Altman was in East Hartford all day long, where officers from across the country gathered to pay their final respects.
In East Hartford, at Pratt & Whitney Stadium, so much sadness, but so much solidarity. Dress blues, white gloves, red, white, and blue. It is a final farewell for two hometown heroes, Bristol Sergeant Alex Hamzy and Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte.
It's a wonderful sight, but it's also a very sad sight. Officers from all over the place.
From every corner of Connecticut, from every corner of the country, first responders have descended on East Hartford to honor and to uplift. Officer Tommy Harvey came from Huntersville, North Carolina.
We have our own families and we have our family in blue, and it's just one of those things where you just have to be there and be supportive and just let them know that you're there for them, and it's just very, very, very heartbreaking.
Saluting their brothers from Bristol, it is a first responder family. Tony Lecca is a West Hartford firefighter.
Police and fire were intertwined. We responded on the same incidents, basically brothers in battle. When it comes right down to it, it's the same team.
Hopefully this brings some humanity to it, and people will see that there's a lot of love between the officers in our community. It's amazing to see all the civilians that are here as well. And on this field, in this stadium, so many different departments making up just one home team today. Embracing each other and embracing the notion that love wins. It does. It does. Love always wins. The support's been actually unbelievable.
For anybody out there that thinks it won't, you're wrong. And you should always keep that in your heart, and you should never take it for granted.
And we ask that you keep both Bristol families in your thoughts and prayers, and there are certainly a number of ways you can continue to support them. We have those links at fox61.com and on the Fox 61 News app. At Rentschler Field in East Hartford, Jim Altman, Fox 61 News.
Well, ever since Bristol Police Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte and Sergeant Alex Hamzy were shot in an ambush attack on October 12th, support for these fallen heroes, their families, and police in general has really grown. Fox 61's Tony Terzi tells us that many, including the officers' families, are hopeful their deaths will give us new life to treat each other better.
This memorial outside the Bristol Police Department has certainly grown every single day with items from across the region. And today we even met a family of Bristol natives who have since moved to Virginia, but they said they simply had to return to pay their respects.
It's always been home, and this just hurts really bad.
In part because Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte was her son's school resource officer.
I feel sad and kind of mad a little bit.
This Hamden man and his son were out car shopping in neighboring Plainville and made it a point to stop by and soak in this salute.
Because I have two friends from my town that are Hamden cops, and you know, it's a really moving tribute what they did here to these brave officers that, you know, gave their lives for us.
In North Haven Friday morning, hundreds of motorcycle cops throughout New England and New York lined their bikes up early, while those watching Lieutenant Dustin DeMonte's funeral procession reflected.
I think of the families of these two officers. I know one of them had young children. I have a young child. I can't imagine what they're going through today.
Lieutenant DeMonte's wife, Laura, is pregnant with their third child, due in the spring.
Kind man. Always remember him for his kindness. And our community needs to heal. And
show that they have support in the town.
She, too, is a cop's wife.
When you marry a man of the badge, you marry the badge, too. So you have to be supportive for the ones you love.
Just look at the love, even from other police departments. Darien Police, you've got the NYPD leaving some mementos there. And then 2 brothers and a sister. We caught up with them today. They dropped by these cruisers and this cute little bear dressed up in uniform. Here in Bristol, I'm Tony Terzi, Fox 61 News.
If you'd like to see some of our coverage of today's funeral services, you can find more on fox61.com, the Fox 61 News app, and on Fox 61 Plus. We'll also have more coming up on the Fox 61 News at 10 and 11. But still to come here on the Fox 61 News at 6, we continue remembering fallen officers DeMonte and Hamzy. We saw scenes like this all along our highways today, people stopping to salute and to pay their respects to these fallen heroes. Our team coverage continues when we come back.